Okay, did everyone hear me from the beginning? I seem to be having some difficulties. Okay, well, we'll start again. Good afternoon, everyone, and hope you're in a cool location for this economic development meeting this afternoon. And I will officially call this meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. Are there any additions, changes for today's agenda? Seeing none, I'd like a motion to approve. Please wave your hand. Moved by Julie, second by, be patient, I got to scroll here. Second by Todd. All those in favor? That is carried. I'll remind everyone that if you have any pecuniary interest to declare for this meeting, please do so now or anytime throughout the meeting. Has everyone reviewed the minutes from June the 8th? Are there any errors or omissions or anything you would like to discuss? Seeing none, a motion to approve. Moved by Neil, second by Leanne. Questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried. Moving on in our agenda to the North Perth Economic Development Action Committee process. I believe, Kim, you're speaking on this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so as directed at the last meeting, we have moved forward with the transition process, and the application will be in the paper, I believe, this week. I have been speaking with the clerk about the process. And I just wanted to, because I believe this is the last meeting before the next meeting in September, when tentatively the transition could take place, was how the members wanted to address the reduction in numbers for councillors. Because I think with the new terms of reference, it changes from the current 5 members to 3 members, and one of those being the mayor or deputy mayor. So I just wanted to make sure that that you had the opportunity to discuss that, or if you wanted to discuss it and then give it to me, then the clerk will take that along with the other applications or the applicant names to council at a later date. So I just didn't know if you want to discuss that now, or if you choose to discuss that later and send it to my or to the clerk's attention.
Okay, I'm open for any comments from anyone who would like to speak at this time with regards to this. I'm scrolling back and forth. Julie?
Yes, thank you, Doug. You can hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, sorry. I think it's probably a matter of who should be sitting on it. Personally, I believe that the mayor and deputy mayor should be sitting on the economic development, because it is a pretty, it's important for both of you to have the knowledge. If one of you chose not to, I guess the default is always from each ward. I don't have any problem stepping down. I've been on economic development for a long time, and other councillors keep up by reading the minutes or that type of thing. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know, you know, if someone has an absolute passion that they want to be on it. Not that every committee isn't interesting, it is, but I don't know how else you would do it to kind of have fair representation. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I'm not seeing any hands. Oh, I have Leanne there. Please speak.
Thanks, Doug. Just to echo a piece of what Julie was saying, but also just to add in the importance of rural representation on this type of committee. And I know that, we don't know what it's going to look like yet in terms of what the representation will be and whether it will be a ward or not. But I think that we need to make sure that rural and urban are represented both to some extent on this committee. And I'm sure that's what you're getting at, Julie. But I think, ward representation of rural urban has to be a consideration. Thanks.
Thanks, Leanne. Neil, would you like to make any comments?
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor Cullum. And obviously, I'm going to go along with the same thing that Julie and Leanne said. Economic development, I think, for any municipality is important, and especially for ours. Um, in terms of who's going to sit on it, I would agree with Julie that yes, the mayor and deputy mayor probably should be on that committee in terms of the composition. But going forward, I mean, yeah, like whoever I think has a passion or has something that they really feel they want to drive forward would make sense to me to put them on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Todd, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable remaining involved if that is the will of my colleagues from council. I certainly agree that I learn a lot and contribute a lot at this committee, and so I see that moving forward. What I don't want to do, Doug, is lose you from this committee. To be honest, I think that you have a significant historical perspective that is important. So I'm hoping that you too would consent to serve moving forward on this committee, and certainly I agree it might be interesting to have the third councillor, someone from Wallace, just because Doug essentially is in Listowel and I'm in Alma, so it might make sense to have a Wallace councillor continue to serve in the capacity.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your comments, and I agree with them as well, Todd, as well, the other colleagues here. And you will have it laid out right that I would be reporting for, the Listowel ward, you as well for Elm, and then just someone in Wallace. So if Councillor Barons doesn't, if she's willing to step down, then we would have Councillor Andreessen. Is that what I'm seeing here?
Yes, I would continue to be very interested in participating and serving on this committee. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. And you are good with that, Councillor Barons?
Absolutely. I'm
Okay.
great with it. I think a little bit has to be decided. Like, I know we're going to try to get volunteers from the sectors, but I think we have to keep an eye on that as well. But yes, I'm absolutely fine with Leanne continuing on.
And you as well, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, if that's the composition we decide on, obviously I enjoy economic development, much like Todd. I learn a lot, and especially being a new counselor, I think it's valuable for that perspective. But I mean, if that was what the committee decided, I would support that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Neil. So, Kim, are you looking for direction here with the resolution, or do you want to bring it back at the next meeting, or what would you like?
I think a resolution now would be good. I didn't talk to Jessica about creating one. Oh, I see Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
And I think either resolution or just even consensus is fine, because it certainly will have to be ratified by council. But the other thing too, for any member of council that wants to listen in on economic development, these meetings are public, so certainly if Neil or Julie were interested in attending future meetings, they certainly are always welcome to attend as a non-voting member to at least hear what's going on in economic development.
Okay, all right. So Kim, do you want to, that is the direction that you have heard previous. If you would like to, maybe draw up something that can come to council at a later meeting, and we can go from there.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Moving on, I think you're up again.
Okay, so my report, I just wanted to highlight on a couple of items that have been updated since my report was created. So I did want to touch on the community improvement plan, that's an important document, and that is going to be initiated or utilized in the RED project for the facade improvement. So that is good news for us to be utilizing that program. The youth attraction and retention strategy, I mentioned previously that the community, one of the community rooms or the the community space room, as you enter into the new Elma Logan Recreation Complex and daycare and library space, is going to have a social space that was identified in the youth strategic plan. And so we are working on gathering some with new requirements. That social space will look different, but we're trying to be flexible to the current needs as well as what future needs may be. So although it is a capital project that was assigned for $20,000, we are going to get probably chairs or things that will be able to be socially distanced, as well as some other things to make the space welcoming. And I may not fully spend the budget as of September at the beginning, just to see how the space gets used, because I think we're all still on that phase of understanding how we can encourage use safely going forward. So, and one other area that the clerk mentioned to me this week which was great, is that the community room, they are setting it up for it to be suitable for gaming, and that if people in the community want to use it, and I know some communities for youth have set up virtual experience types of systems that I haven't explored, but that might be something we can look in and use some of that budget towards it as well, because again, that would really be focused for youth. So I'll continue to be involved with that, and over the next couple of months, just to make sure that we use this opportunity as we were directed. The RED funding is moving forward. We did get confirmation through to RED. They were quite pleased that we will be moving forward with the project. The recruitment phase is commencing in August, with the target of start in October. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention is when I did bring it to council, I had given the budget estimate for the municipality that a small amount would be used in 2020, and then the remainder for the municipality would be in 2021. I took the information to the BIA, and the BIA wants to split their contributions. They want to remain as having 10,000 in 2020 and 10,000 in 2021. So with the matching funding, that because the salary amount is going to be that'll cover the bulk of it in 2020. So the budget amount required for RED in 2020 isn't going to be very significant for the municipality. It will move the bulk of it to 2021, and we will carry that forward. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because of the preference for the BIA to continue to move ahead with the 10,000 in each of 2020 and 2021. Any questions about that, or? No? Okay. So the Huron Perth Children's Museum, I do have some exciting news on that, that we were notified probably a couple of weeks ago at the end of the week, that we were successful in the application for the Children's Museum funding. It's been fully funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation. It is still confidential. We're not allowed to promote it or publicize it in the media or on website or anything electronically until the province announces it. We can move forward with the project itself, doing RFPs and getting the feasibility study started. But I just wanted to make you aware of that, and that we can move ahead with the project, but we can't say that we've received a grant or funding for the project. So I've been working with the committee as well as with the purchasing coordinator to have the RFP developed and we are going to move ahead with the original date, which was July 13th was when that project was going to start and continue until mid-March of 2021. That should give ample time for the feasibility study to be completed. And in one way, I do think the timing is actually excellent, because that we can incorporate the new reality into the feasibility study, so that what is prepared can take that into consideration. So how will that impact the feasibility and the operation of a children's museum? So I think that that's actually going to work out well. And the grant itself is for $51,500 is what they have committed to. And so they pay 90% of the contribution or of the grant upfront. So that will be given to the municipality right up front. And then upon the final report, then the remaining 10,000 or 10%, sorry, would be issued to the municipality. So we, depending on the RFQs that come in, the municipality may need to cover that balance for a period of time. But the amount that was put at was for one of the higher quotes that came in. We had to submit a number of quotes in the application process. So it depends on what comes back for the quote, whether we'll need to have additional funds or not. But based on invoicing after that, then the Trillium Foundation will reimburse at the end of the project. Any questions about that?
I'm not seeing any hands.
Okay. So I think, sorry, looking at my notes here. I think that hits a lot of the idea or the areas. I did want to, the e-commerce website, we did launch it on the 17th of June, and we have doubled the number of vendors. So we're now over 11 active vendors. We have a number of vendors that are also, so I think it's about 21 altogether that are offering products on the platform, or sorry, they're not offering products, they're just advertising on the platform, just their business. They may have existing e-commerce platforms themselves. So that's been has been an improvement. We have, I think, 51 products that are currently available to be purchased, varying types of products from like a smoker and a barbecue, the $1,500 to $2,000 range, to bath bombs, which are like $1 to $2, and variety different types of businesses. I know I've been approached by the Hardwood Haven, if they could advertise on the site, which I think is great to attack. And so we'll adjust the category title slightly to enable them to take advantage from a tourism standpoint. And we'll keep looking at what we can do to help the businesses that would like to participate. So for some businesses, we've had some feedback. We have approached restaurants. I've contacted them directly. For some of them, there is a cost per transaction for them to participate. What the charges that are with our platform is considerably less than if they were to do it through a Shopify or to have their own e-commerce site. But there is a monthly cost, which is $2 a month, plus a small percentage per dollar value and per transaction. I think it's 0.025 dollar volume plus 25 cents per transaction. So from what I can see, that's quite a bit less than what they would be paying if they had their own site, but it's more than nothing. So depending on their needs, using e-transfer or using other methods, especially now as they're reopening, may work for them. And for other businesses who have a big volume of transactions, they may want to invest in a full platform themselves. So we're continuing to help support that, to encourage them in that direction if that's something that they'd like to do. So hopefully we can meet the needs of a variety of businesses from across North Perth, continue to promote the platform as well. I think we're going to start focusing more on promoting to customers. So that customers approach, and you can advertise your products, but unless you have people coming to purchase the products, then that won't add the benefit. So So we'll start, I think it's going to be advertised on the Chamber digital sign coming up in the next week or two. And then we will also be having some ads on the radio. So it'll start to even increase the leverage even more as getting more information out to the residents using social media, things like that. So the business directory, we do have a business directory for all sectors of business that we have on our website. Initially, we met with the Chamber and the BIA to create that directory of COVID hours and status. Businesses did questionnaires, and we've have continued to maintain that and to promote it. It is available for, and so we put it on social media, send it out to people so that they're aware of the platform. And it's right on the button on the main page of the municipal website. It was kept with the municipality so that all North Perth businesses could be involved with that. But we have that available, as well as if you do COVID business directory within the website itself, it takes you right to the page, as well as COVID business directory North Perth. If you just Google that, it takes you right to that page as well. So that's something that I know that it's hard to get information out to people about the individual businesses. We're trying to do what we can to help publicize and support restaurants and small businesses as they're reopening. But I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that resource. And we continue to update our business support page for COVID, regularly updating information on there for businesses, including training and as well. So the action group for the economy, I do sit as a staff resource on that committee, and we have met, I think, 2 or 3 times, and we have another meeting this week, and they are currently identifying short and long-term objectives and goals that will be taken to the umbrella group within the next couple of weeks, and don't think I'll go into a lot of detail about that until those are finalized. I think that's everything for me, Doug.
Okay. Anyone have any comments or questions for Kim? I see no hands. So thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you.
Very well report. Moving on, Sarah.
Thank you, Doug. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I'll take you through a few of the highlights of this report, just letting you know what we've been up to over the last little while at the county's economic development and tourism. So we launched our Farmgate map and tourism brochure out through a targeted mailing program this year. Given that our brochure distribution needed to change, we felt that delivering the brochures straight to people's doors was the best avenue, and it's been very successful. We've had a lot of people sharing images of them receiving the brochures in the mail, so that was a successful pivot for our program. We've had a number of different social media campaigns, our Local Love campaign, as well as Local Food Week promotions. You may have seen online as well our Chalk It Up campaign to try to share messages of positivity and help businesses announce that they're open, and sort of drive some interesting business to the front doors of those Main Street businesses. We had a lot of people sharing those images on social media as well. So that was really great to see some colorful depictions out in the communities. On the social media front as well, we developed a social media guidebook for local businesses, and I've included a clickable link in the agenda. One of the items that we hear often from businesses is social media is managed off kind of the side of their desk. So we wanted to create a quick tool guide for people to access some tips and tricks that can help them to communicate with their audience about the changes that their business has experienced over the pandemic, as well as any new information as we move into additional phases of reopening. This week, you also might have seen our Perth County Trails campaign launched, showcasing videos from across the county of our beautiful trail systems. We have an awesome summer student, Tyson, who has been shooting some great drone footage of our trails, and those have really received a lot of positive feedback and shares online as well. And for those of you who tuned into some of the Canada Day proceedings, you may have noticed the Perth County Tourism craft float included in the parade. We were quite happy to produce something for that as well, show the community spirit and celebrate Canada Day in a socially distanced way. Another item on the tourism front is we had some exciting news around some funding. We received $153,000, almost $154,000 from FedDev Ontario's Regional Relief and Recovery Fund, associated with the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. And the goal of this fund has been to help businesses particularly impacted in the tourism industry related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, our region's used to welcoming quite a number of people throughout the summer months, and most certainly our businesses are impacted by that. So we're in the process of learning more about this funding program's details and developing some programming to help our business community, particularly as it connects to tourism in the coming months. So stay tuned for more details on that. You may also recall that one of the items on our work plan originally when this year began was hosting the Teeny Tiny Summit, which is typically an in-person event, usually between 150 to 200 people attend. And our goal had been to host something themed around housing, as that was a hot topic for our communities. That plan originally, as it stood, has been put on hold, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, but there have been renewed discussions around hosting a virtual event of some kind. So we don't have a lot of detail at this point, and it's partly up to OMAFRA staff to help guide us through this, as it is their program, but I just wanted to let you know that there's a possibility that we may have something further on that as time moves on. As Kim mentioned, I know communicating information has been a big component to this pandemic. So one of the other things we have been trying to promote is also ways for businesses to reach out to the government, as well as reach out to us with questions they may have about programs. So we've also been promoting a business support line. That phone number actually gets you directly to me. So I'm available to answer any questions or point people in the right direction with program information. Our Perth County podcast also continues. We just actually launched our 7th episode, which this report doesn't reflect, with the Stratford Perth Centre for Business on Friday. So episodes come out weekly. You can see a list of the guests we've had. We've got more guests coming up. Always open to suggestions for topics and things you'd like to see covered. It's been very interesting to watch the statistics for each episode rise as people discover recent episodes. They go back and listen to the back catalog. So it seems like the information is getting out there. So please contact me if you have an idea of a guest we could have. I'm happy to reach out. In addition, we continue to update our business resources and training sections of our website with up-to-date information on online training and other business resources that are helpful for our business community. In this next section, I thought it would be interesting to include some statistics around the Opportunity Lives Here job board. We've certainly seen a dip in job postings in 2020. You can see reflected in the numbers, particularly starting in March and April. Significantly, it's reflected that our business community simply wasn't hiring. But one encouraging feature as we hit May and June was that those job posting numbers were picking up. Still down from 2019, but I did think it was interesting to sort of watch those numbers as an indicator of businesses starting to reopen and rehire. So we continue to promote that platform, and I just received notice today about some of the virtual some of the job fairs we had originally signed up for in 2020 that were meant to be held in person have moved online, and they have renewed dates. So we're hoping to pull together a schedule shortly of the virtual events we plan to attend. Also on the virtual front, which seems to be the buzzword of the day, our foreign direct investment program has also moved to a virtual platform. Prior to the pandemic, our team attended as many in-person trade shows to develop leads and lead generation as we could before many of these events were shut down. So one of the ways we've been able to pivot this program is to do some virtual lead generation with companies. The one benefit, of course, is that we can travel the world instantly with those virtual meetings. But it's definitely a new format for us. So we will let you know how that's going. So that's all I have for my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about anything I've discussed.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, Councillor Barons.
Sarah, thank you for the report. I find it really interesting. My only comment would be, and this is probably a little bit for Kim too, is a lot of the great information is buried in reports from minutes from a meeting. And when I'm out talking to people, for example, Sarah, I was talking to someone about the podcast the other day, and another person said, well, how do you get on? And I'm trying to remember in my mind, right, where you go to Perth County Economic Development, or you can just Google Perth County podcasts or whatever, and they're not necessarily satisfied with that information. And I see you smiling, so I think that you know where I'm going with this. Would it be possible for both of you to develop like a one pager? So it might say Perth County podcast, one or two brief lines on the description, and then the website to go to, just so that it's not lost in a report. Like, I would think that this would be information for all of the counselors, and unless you're perusing all of the websites all of the time, you simply don't know what's available. Like, I'll be honest to both of you, I'm not necessarily on the North Perth website or the county website every week so that I know what's new and upcoming. But if I had the information that I could talk to others about it, it would be extremely helpful. And I think other counselors might find it helpful as well if they kind of, I guess you could call it a cheat sheet, call it whatever you want, but something along that idea, just so that, you know, we could keep it updated and maybe not have the information get lost or buried in a report somewhere. That's my question and comment.
Certainly. Thank you, Julie. Yes, I agree. There's a lot of information coming at everybody all the time, and I'd be happy to create a cheat sheet and bullet forms or give you quick links. Most of the items we try to make as easy to find as possible, but I can't imagine trying to keep up with it all. So I'd be happy to circulate something that kind of updates you to the resources that we have available.
Thanks. Go ahead, Councillor Andreessen.
Hi, thank you, Doug. And this is again for perhaps both Kim and Jessica. I'm just wondering what the pulses of the community, and maybe even Lisa can weigh into this. You know, like what is, we're at the next phase of reopening, and how are our businesses doing? Are they coping with the new changes? Are some continuing to stay closed? Are some not going to reopen? I'm wondering about services like optometrists, dentists, doctors. What's the pulse out there? Because I'm not sure if our community really knows what they can access. If you're a senior, can you go to your local optometrist yet? Right? I guess wondering what the pulse is out there, and if that would be, I think that information would be helpful for this team, because we may need to know what their continued needs are as they work through these phases with all the demands that are on them. So I'm just wondering if, you know, if you guys could address that. Thanks.
Well, I know we've had some communication as part of the Recovery Action Group from different sectors, and the health sector is one of them. And that there has been an impact for businesses who are have client contact, whether it's healthcare or hairstylists or people who they because they need to increase the amount of physical space and spread out their appointments, it's more difficult for them to have their cash flow is impacted, their profitability has been impacted. So that's something that we are starting to see. I think a lot of the health companies that you've mentioned, they can open. Some may still be working through some of the different requirements. So they may not all. I haven't heard of any that are choosing not to open, but they are opening gradually, and depending if they have a number of practitioners in one office, if they're a single practitioner office, it impacts their scheduling quite a bit. I think from a standpoint of, initially we heard PPE, access to PPE was a challenge, but most of them have now said that that's been resolved, that PPE is no longer an issue, including healthcare. So, some of them are still deciding whether they're going to provide it for customers or whether customers are going to provide, but being able to find plexi barriers or different types of equipment. So the PPE doesn't seem to be as much of a concern as it was initially. And I think they're kind of working together as different sectors to try and address that issue. But I mean, our business directory, we do have that listed, but for a senior or for someone who may not know for their specific, I mean, everyone is kind of, it's as a small business owner, they have the choice on how they choose to proceed. So calling them to find out what their requirements are. I know that one of the recommendations for the economy group is going to be doing a survey, and reaching the next step is going to be doing a survey. So contacting at least 4 or 5 businesses in each sector, and all the different types of sectors, to see, you know, what are your challenges currently? What do you need from us as a municipality, and possibly just, you know, what do you need, so that we're prepared if we need to take it forward to other levels of government, or how to make some action plans or to set goals. So that's going to be coming up soon. I think that the community services groups has done some of that informally already, but we'll be moving forward with that. And I know in the healthcare sector, June Williamson is that representative, and she talked about reaching out to different people, some of them that are professionally regulated versus the unprofessional, like the more like they're not physiotherapists or optometrists, but they might be massage therapists or some of the spa types of people that are different groups. So has been reaching out to them, and what I shared about the PPE and the general impact on profitability, that is an ongoing challenge for them. What can we do to help them? They don't know. They don't have ideas. They're not sure. What they know that's a factor that they're facing, but they don't know what to do about it. So hopefully we can do some best practice researching and to see what we can do to help along those lines, but that's still being worked through. And I haven't heard of any I mean, maybe Lisa has heard differently. Restaurants and that are starting to gradually open up. Most of them have takeout hours, which isn't as costly for them. So some of them have reduced menus, so it's not their full menu, and they're kind of at break even. The next step is having staff working and at 50% capacity or less than full capacity. That almost is a deterrent or detriment to them, because they're not able to recoup the it's more expensive for them to operate. So I haven't heard of any businesses not opening or not reopening. I know that for things like our tourism, I'm interested to hear, Sarah, when you're at the point of having plans for what the dollars will be used for the tourism funding that you've received, because I know we do have some tourism operators that are still struggling, and I'm sure will continue to struggle. Our restaurants will continue to struggle, just to see how you're, how that is. And just a quick question, is that amount just for Perth County, or is that specific, like, is that Perth County including Stratford and St. Mary's, or?
This is for rural Perth County, so
For rural Perth.
correct. Yeah, so so not Stratford and not St. Mary's.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to clear. I wasn't 100% sure, and I thought I would just confirm that. So that'll be interesting, because I think those appears to be those, in addition to other client-centered businesses, that that are having the most difficulty.
I have some concerns about even restaurants with the takeout piece, because you know, this hot weather is great, but it's almost too hot. So it's too hot to sit on a patio. Do you know what I mean? And this weather is only going to last, unfortunately, in Ontario at best till September. And that's, 8 weeks away. And then what? Right.
Right.
And so I'm just worried about how those companies are going to survive with limited menus, breaking even, and perhaps the next phase will allow them to have broader opening ability, but I'm concerned about what the impact will be if they're not able to have more ability to open, because of just the nature of eating outside in Ontario isn't great.
I know that we talked to them about delivery and looking at different creative ways for delivery services, or if they'd like that to be explored. And the feedback that we've had is that very few people ask for delivery, because delivery might be an option for some people that don't have transportation, or when it's this hot, you don't feel like going out, you don't want to be sitting out in a patio. And they said that almost no one asks for delivery. So, but I understand what you're saying about, as we go into rainy or cool seasons, it depends on what happens, with the virus, how that could impact. So that's a good point for us to take back to the committee and see if they have any solutions, or if we can investigate that more.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
You guys hear me?
Yes.
So it's Lisa.
Yes.
Leanne, I feel, as someone, I live in Listowel, so I'm using the businesses, and they've been pivoting pretty well over the last couple of weeks. Some of the businesses and restaurants that weren't open are now starting to be open. For example, Pita Pit just opened, and Becky's has now opened. Some of the restaurants have put in a patio. For example, Krabby's now has a very large patio. But because of the weather, I've driven by or walked by, there's not a lot of people there because it is so hot. The dentists, they're pivoting pretty well. I actually had my first appointment last week, as did my daughter. There are a lot of restrictions still. My youngest, who's 10, she cannot go to the dentist yet, because all they can really do is hand utensils. I don't even know what you call them. But a child who's that young doesn't have enough plaque to warrant using those handheld items versus the polishing and different things like that. But I think our downtown businesses are doing really well. Some are choosing just to mostly focus on online. There are still a few that are not open. I believe Pollywogs has not opened their door. There's a few, but most of them have opened. They're trying to stay positive. They're telling me that the community has been really supportive. Some of them have really improved, as Kim said, their online presence. Some of them, I think, need to do a bit more. So having that option that the North Perth shop has been really good. I think, to be honest, some of the businesses are, they're frustrated right now because our numbers are so low in Ontario and in Canada, and they're ready for stage 3. And as someone who lives in Listowel, I think another thing that I'm seeing or feeling is convincing the population that it's safe to shop, that it's safe to go into our stores. I've seen a lot of chatter about people going to Guelph or Wellington because masks are mandatory there. So different things like that, but overall, I think they're pivoting well. I went for the spas. I went for my first haircut. I know you can't see it, but it looks awesome. And there's only rules. They can only have, I think they can only have 5 stylists and 5 clients at the same time. There's no face work. So if you wanted like a brow wax or anything to do with the face, they can't do. But they're all doing what needs done, and I think they're working really hard. So we're trying to promote. I've been really pushing on Facebook. I've got some albums going that says these businesses are open, these restaurants are open. They're getting a lot of shares and a lot of interest, so that's really good. And so I think there's a little bit of wanting to get into stage 3, especially with our numbers so well, and I'm positive that we'll get there. But I think it's just continuing to promote that we're open. We're doing a lot. The BIA is doing a lot of radio ads. We're even promoting in Stratford this summer, which we've never really done before. We're doing some contests and some fun things online. I continue to send Kim and North Perth updates for the directory when we get them. But I think our businesses are doing the best they can with what they can do.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Anyone else like to share a comment or a question? I am seeing none. Thank you, Sarah. That was a very good report and some great education for us for moving forward. So, okay, if there's nothing else, there's nothing under other. So our next meeting is scheduled for September 14th at 5:30 p.m. as per now.
That's right.
And okay, and if there is nothing else, I would like a motion for adjournment at 5:48 p.m. Moved by Councillor Barons, second by Councillor Anstead. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.